All right, gang, STAT1800. The purpose of this video is to demonstrate how we can use StatCrunch to create displays like histograms and box plots and calculate numerical summaries such as measures of center and measures of variability. Now, what you'll see on the right side is you see my Pearson site. I'm going to click this one, STAT1800. This is where I'm actually building the course. Now, when you're taking the class, you're going to see more specific information. For example, if you're taking the class in like fall of 2023 or whatever it may be, you'll see information like that. But it all works the same. So let's click it and see what happens. All right, so uh, a lot of information to be covered about your options here. That'll be done in a different video. For now, I want to focus on StatCrunch. So if I go to StatCrunch, there are three things that I need to be able, well, there are three things that you need to be able to do, right? First of all, you need to be able to access data sets from your textbook. I would click that if I need that. You also need to be able to go to the StatCrunch website and just open up StatCrunch so we can use the calculator. But for now, in this video, I want to demonstrate just how we can get a data set from our textbook and actually use StatCrunch to create the things on the left. So if I click this, you'll see I have a lot of data sets that go with our text. And there was one that I found kind of interesting called LTE. So let's see if I can find it, which gives some internet speeds. So looks like, okay, let's pump the brakes a little bit here. When we read a data set like this, when we read left to right, this is called the cases. So I can come down and I can see that the cases actually stand for regions, right? And that my data set contains 31 regions. Um, so statistics, ironically, actually show that when someone with no background in statistics reads a data set like this, they typically read from left to right. You know why? Well, that's where all the juicy gossip is, right? For example, I can see the Detroit, Warren, Dearborn. Looks like I would say these are probably downloads. For AT&T would be 14.2. Verizon would be 23.64. So Verizon seems to be outperforming uh, AT&T in this particular region. Um, Now, when someone with a background in statistics, such as me, reads something like this, I could care less about left or right. I look at vertically. I look at up and down. I look at the columns. I have one variable here, which is AT&T download speed, and I have another variable which is called Verizon download speed. When I look at this data set, I think, what's the distribution shape? Are there outliers? What's the five-number summary? What's the mean? What's the median? What's the mode? What's the standard deviation? Those are the things I care about in terms of evaluating a variable. Well, it turns out that this is really easy to do. So let's just create a histogram. So I can go to graph, I can go to histogram, I can create, choose the, I'll tell you what, let's just choose Verizon. Uh, not that I'm anti AT&T or anything, but let's just choose Verizon. And just hit compute, and I get a histogram. From previous videos, notice that a histogram that the bars touch. So I can hover over the first bar, and I can see that from 10 to 12.5 down, there's a frequency of 2. I can go to this bar, and I can see there's a frequency of 4 from 12.5 to 15. So what they have chosen here is the class width, something I covered in a previous video, would be 2.5. Notice each class, this one goes from 10 to 12.5, this one goes from 12.5 to 15. So obviously the class widths are 2.5. I would summarize this as a bell-shaped and symmetric distribution. More about that later. All right, box plot. So let's go Verizon. I want to draw boxes horizontally, and I want to use fences to identify the outliers. Remember in a previous video where we talked about this 1.5 times the IQR? We looked at that value above Q3 and below Q1 to set these fences, so to speak, of what identified an outlier. That's what clicking this box does for us. All right, so if there are outliers, we are going to, actually, I don't like that. I like the vertical better. Okay, so when I get my box plot, I notice that there are no outliers. Also kind of cool, I can go to the center box, just hover the mouse over that box, and I can see that I have 31 values. The IQR is 5.42. The upper limit, lower limit are given, so the value of the 5-number summary is given right there. All right, measures of center and spread. To do that, I just go to stat, I go to calculator, no, I'm sorry, I go to summary stat, and I go to columns. Now, this stuff is not going to be intuitively clear to you, right? In fact, a lot of you, this may be the first time you've used StatCrunch. You didn't come out of the womb knowing how to use StatCrunch, so you have to write this stuff down. There should be in your notebook a small part of your notebook, maybe 5 to 7 pages of nothing but StatCrunch commands. How do you do when you need to do something? For example, later on we're going to do a t-test. When you need to do a t-test, what do you do on StatCrunch? It'll be helpful when you take your exam. So to find means and medians and modes and all that stuff, I go to summary stat and I go to column. So I'm going to select Verizon. So I'm going to come down and select the things I want. So I'm going to select the sample size. I'm going to select the mean, the variance, the standard deviation. I'm going to select the median, the range, the min, the max, Q3, Q1, Q1, Q3, the IQR, and that should, let's put the mode in there as well. So when I hit compute, no nastiness in terms of having to do all this stuff by hand. I can see that the median is 19. I can see that the mean is 18.55. I can see that there is no mode, so no value is repeated more than once. I can see that the range is 15.41 and that the standard deviation is 4.03, the variance is 16.22. So anyway, the point is it's very easy to compare these things. Now, kind of interesting too, if I wanted to compare the two speeds, uh, what I would do is I would go to summary stats, go to columns, I would select both of these, and then I would probably come down and select a few things like the mean, the standard deviation. I would probably select the median, and I would probably select the range. I can select more stuff, but those four things are going to give me a pretty good comparison of the typical values and of the spread. So what do I determine from this? I determined that the download speed for Verizon is about 5 megabytes per second, probably, yeah. Uh, Greater than AT&T for these 31 regions. I see the standard deviation, 4.02 for Verizon, 1.7. So that tells me that the scores are more clustered for AT&T and they're more spread out with Verizon because the standard deviation is higher. The median is 19, 13. So again, these are pretty similar to the values for the mean. And I'll see that the range is about 15.5 for Verizon and only about 6 for AT&T. So if I do a side-by-side box plot, and I select both of these, I'm expecting the box plot for Verizon to be to have a lot more spread than for AT&T, because that's what the standard deviation tells me. It tells me spread, right? The variability within my data. AT&T had a lower standard deviation, so I knew it had less spread. So when I compare these, I have tunnel vision on the medians. So the median here is 13.52. And the reason I have tunnel vision on the median is because the box plots don't give the mean, right? So the median is 13.52 versus 19. So the performance comparing median versus median is better for Verizon. And I could just eyeball the variability, that the variability is much more for Verizon than it is AT&T. All right, gang. That's about all I have. We're going to look at some other problems on my stat lab in another an upcoming video. But for now, I just wanted to give you a brief introduction. All right, take care.